Double standards. So I'm Gen X, and so my parents were boomers. And when I was growing up, I'm 55. When I was growing up, there was not any real leeway for children. Okay, so even if you, let's say, weren't taught something, let's say, I remember one time I got in trouble because my mom had asked me to go wash some clothes. And, I would look at the labels on things and, wash it like I said. But there happened to be a suit jacket. It didn't have a label in the inside. Now, I was young and I was washing clothes, even though I was young. And I didn't know anything about dry cleaning. And I put that suit jacket into the washer, and my mom got upset, punished me for it because she thought, it was common sense that I was supposed to know that these suit jackets were going to be dry cleaned and not put in the washer. Now, I'm bringing that up because recently there was a roundtable with Clifton Powell, and there's been other ones. There was one with Mike Epps last year or in 2024. And what both of these men said was, man, I know I'm in my 50s. I know I'm 69, but I just learned how to love. And yeah, I know I put these women that I was with through all these things and all this trauma. And I made them cry and I cheated and I did all this stuff. But now that I'm older, I'm finally going to therapy and I'm finally realizing that I wasn't doing the right thing. Now, keep in mind, like I said, this man is my parents' generation. And when they were raising us, their children, we didn't get any excuses. Whether we were taught or not, we were expected to use some common sense. And if we didn't use what they thought was common sense, we got our behinds beat. We got our privileges taken away. We got grounded. We lost access to whatever it was that they were, thinking that we didn't deserve. There was no grace period. There was no empathy. There was no, you know what? Maybe I didn't teach you. Maybe I should have taught you. None of that. None. And I kind of find it rich that the generation that was very well known for, fix your face, I'll slap the back off of you, I'm going to knock you in the next week, for anything, don't roll your eyes at me, don't have an attitude. They are not the ones that emotionally regulate themselves, as you can see in these interviews. They're not the ones who had grace for anybody else, but they expect all the grace in the world. They expect all the empathy in the world, but they didn't give out any. Everybody else had to toe the line. Everybody else had to suck up their feelings. Everybody else had to figure it out on their own or suffer the consequences. But when it comes to them, I didn't know. Oh, my parents didn't. My grandparents didn't. I had trauma. None of that was an excuse for us. So, why is there a double standard? Why is it when it comes to them, nobody can hold them accountable? The people that are my age that are now cutting off some of their parents because of the fact, hey, I've told you I don't want my children treated this way. I've told you I don't want you speaking to me this way. I've told you that what you're doing here is toxic. You continue to do it. So I'm not coming around anymore. But I'm your mama. I'm your daddy. I'm your uncle. I'm your aunt. You're supposed to respect your elders. No, you're supposed to be the elder and change and take accountability for the harm that you've done and do better. We're not supposed to make allowances for you. We're not supposed to just chalk it up as, oh my God, that's just how they are. Oh my God, well, they're old. We just gonna have to, look the other way. We just gonna have to grin and bear it. We're just gonna have to tolerate it. We're not kids now. When we were kids, yeah, we had to not roll our eyes and not, talk back and not talk under our breath. But now we can open our mouths and say, that's not good enough. That's not appropriate. That's toxic. You need to change. You need to take accountability. You need to apologize. And they don't like that. As you saw, if you saw that roundtable, when that younger man said, hey, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you need to take accountability for what you've done to other people. Clifton Powell almost wanted to come across that table because they're very good at telling the younger generation to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, that nobody owes them anything, that they're entitled, that they're spoiled, that they're, what else did they tell us? All of these kind of messages that we have to change, that we have to expect to work our way up and not expect things to be handed to us. But they're expecting respect and empathy and grace and tolerance and patience to be handed to them forever. This man was 69 years old. And when he was asked, when did you become monogamous? He said, today. Today wasn't even over with when they were doing the interview. That means he hasn't even practiced monogamy at all, but he's trying to get credit for change, for treating a woman better, for knowing how to love. But you haven't demonstrated anything. The older people used to tell us a pair of lips will say anything. But when it comes to them, we're supposed to believe the words that are coming out of their mouth rather than the actions and the attitudes that they show us and the mindsets that they still have that they feel entitled to have. So I think that we're coming into a different age when people are saying, stop having a double standard. You expect the younger generation to get it right, but you expect us to look the other way when you get it wrong. You expect the younger generation to do the right thing, but you expect you to be able to do the wrong thing. And because you're older, you should be able to get away with doing the wrong thing and nobody should call you out on it. You should be able to say that you're changing without even showing us any actual evidence of your change. And we're supposed to just believe it because, what did people say? Do what I say, not what I do. That is over. That might have worked when we were children because we were children and we didn't have a say. But we're not children anymore. And now it's time for everyone to be accountable. May you walk in synergy.